Well, the magic's about to rain down. It's getting game right now.
Yep. Hopping straight into champion select. What will be the first ban? Gangplank, taken away from QV. And I feel like it's really settling in on a bit of a QV meta at the moment, with Gnar all the way up there. The fact that he needs the Gangplank respect bans as well. Only going from strength to strength is that, man.
I want to see some Zoe today, Atlas. That's what I decided. We saw some Zoe on the first day of the season, and some more here is... Okay, got a bit of an issue, unfortunately.
No, they just needed to make sure we hopped out, so no Zoe bans, please. Papa Smithy has said that he wants to see Zoe. And, not entirely sure what has happened. We'll probably just hop back in, but...
Someone crying? No, he's just actually adjusting his eyes.
Just adjusting his eyes?
Yes.
Where were they before?
They were still in his eye sockets.
Okay, good. Thank goodness.
Hopefully we'll just be able to a couple of seconds to get back into game. Hopefully
couple.
Nothing serious there.
Everyone can still hear, guys. That's the main thing.
We didn't hear the dreaded audio issue cue from Joel.
I'm scared that you're mentioning it.
We're still on the Discord server, so we'll be ready to hear it if there's
Because
a
when it's an audio issue, I mean, the point of audio issues is they can hear us.
The fans are going to believe we have a Discord server with Joel one day.
I hope so. I actually like to believe that we do anyway. I just haven't seen it. I've never actually logged in as auto-logged in.
What does a Discord server look like?
You don't know?
I've been in one, but I don't know what it looks like, the actual physical representation of it.
Probably just like a server.
What do servers look like? Are they the people that play tennis?
They're those
like...
big rooms with the blue lights in the
movies.
movies.
Like the
Papa
60s
Smithy.
movies.
Yes. All
this
of them
is
are
our
the
computer.
Same. Yeah.
And it's a whole room.
Yeah, and there's like a million Cat 6 cables just everywhere. Not sure whether they're doing anything, but they're there. Probably relaying information that we just don't understand or comprehend.
Well, we've got no information to relay to you, OGN Legion, so we're hoping against hope it's going to be a couple of months. A bit of coaching changes with Jin Air as well. Comment no longer there.
Yeah, it's actually Fly moving over. Brand new was...
Coach Fly, which is definitely a well-known name to the fans at home, given that he's been in NALCS a couple of times.
Yeah, actually was on Phoenix 1, helping them out, but was formerly on RNG, which is impressive due to the fact that their 2016, I believe, MSI run was really, really strong. And that was when Fly was actually behind the team.
You can rewind even further, remember, and he was also on LMQ.
Yes,
yes. Those early days, was always seen as kind of a prized coaching talent as he's gone through. Now on Jin Air, so that is going to be, I think, a positive move for them. See if they have another lease on life. Jin Air really got it together in summer. You know, they reinvented themselves from delay to having some different strategies, and don't know how much of that exactly was comment, but definitely going to be a different interpretation of the meta now with a new coaching staff.
Yeah. I'm hoping that it means that we see a little bit of different things coming out of Jin Air as well, and maybe some of the inconsistencies. Looking at the jungle mostly. Just getting a bit more information. Okay.
Trying to see. It sounds like client issues potentially happening. We don't really know the specifics yet, but if there's any ruling, we'll let you know. So hope we're going to get into the game very soon.
One thing I do really want to talk about, Papa Smithy, is Crown, I feel, had a lot of impact on the outfits for KSV because it matches his bling like no one's business.
I mean, he does look very dapper. Again, as I said last time, I do wish the ring around his neck was, in fact, his Samsung Galaxy World Championship
Instead
ring.
of the one ring, which it looks like.
To rule them all.
Yeah.
I mean, he does rule them all.
Yet.
He is the world champion.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So he must have the one ring. Like,
I hope he has some new champions. That's what I'm hoping for there. The Malzahar only thing did work for him in the World Final, but...
And look, still very, very good. So you have a feeling that if it is available, they will lock it in.
Here is his former teammate on the left. That is Wraith, a very popular player in Korea. And there's Ruler.
Yeah, speaking of popular players, Papa Smithy, this is the guy that we're all going to be watching.
If you ever want to see someone who's on a hot streak in solo queue, at least the last time I checked, definitely go onto op.gg and type in I love KSV. That is the username on the Korean server for Ruler, who, if you watch Faker's stream, is popping off whichever team he's on.
Just straight up killing everyone.
Yep.
And it's actually not a great... I'm a bit of an avid Faker watcher, but he just hasn't been very happy because even if Ruler's on his team, Ruler's just the one getting all the kills, and Faker's just like... He's like... Tss, you know, all the time, you know, making his little Faker frustrated
Does he
noises.
do that little neck crank?
Yep, does a little neck crank.
That's the tell.
That's when you know.
That's why he's not a poker player.
That's why he's mad.
He'd have a tell.
Yeah, that's true. Thankfully,
It would also take him away from solo queue and winning world championships.
And broccoli and all that sort of stuff. Okay, we'll see what's going to happen. Slight issue working out how the client was exited in the first place, guys. Just seeing whether it was an accidental client exit.
It's not going to be a small penalty on Crown here, given that if it is intentional, that does happen. But we'll see what it resolves to be. It's unfortunate. We just want some good, clean League of Legends, but the client issue means that we've been delayed for a couple of moments. I hear some woos, though. That's probably a good sign.
Yeah, here we go. Straight back in. So first ban does come in for Jin Air, but I think KSV are... Oh, no. Okay, so they're going to ban it away first. So it doesn't look like the penalty has come in. And it seems like the accident was proven to be an innocent accident.
Ah, proven accident.
Yeah, proven accident.
Well, also, no accident with the ban from Jin Air. No Shen allowed. A QV special, but also Core JJ. Saying someone in solo queue. Core JJ was the only member of KSV that stuck with the same champion, played 2 games of Braum. Inspired a lot of people to follow in his footsteps. Felt like Braum was outclassed by Alster Leona and the Tom Kenches of the world, but now Braum is seen as tier 1, especially against Ornn, given that interaction with the Call of the Forge God. And this is the ruler special. It's the Varus, so even though the icon is new, the ban is justified. 3 hyper carries. We talked about the red side 3 hyper carry ban, Kalista, Ezreal, and Kog'Maw bans. The Varus loaded on top of it, but that means Sejuani has made it through picks and bans only the 2nd time this season.
Now what does QV do? Does he rush in to lock in the Gnar that he picked up game number 2 last time we saw him, or is there more that's available they want to take away? Of course, the Rise is another one, but KSV might actually look towards the Malzahar instead. I feel like that's got a higher priority at this particular point in time, and it is Crown. It's much harder to build Morellonomicon into Leandra's Torment if you're playing Rise.
Rise is seen as kind of tier 1 mid lane over something like Zoe, which I know will lead to some gasps and shock and awe from people because of his flexibility to play side lanes. The fact that you can play him in the side lane, take Ghost Flash, Unsealed Spellbook, get around with the Realm Warp. He's less linear. You know, at the end of the day, Zoe is one of those mages like Orianna that kind of sticks around mid lane, can roam, but largely is kind of anchored to mid, whereas Rise is not. And playing side lane is one of the things he does uniquely well. That's why he has risen in the estimation of many of the Korean players, even over something like Azir. Now, the Rise versus Azir matchup is a good one for Rise. He actually does pretty well and competitively in this matchup, so you're not worried about this at all. Naturally itemizing the Abyssal Mask, but it's a change from the Kesper Cup, where Azir was the God tier, and from there, something like Rise was lower. Now Rise is that flexible God tier mid lane.
Grace demonstrating that he certainly was capable of playing the Azir back Kesper Cup times. Humpty's going to lock that one away for him, and now we'll see exactly what he's going to pick up. Will it be Teddy's pick now? Try and grab one of the remaining 80 carries, something like a Sivir perhaps, but no, Ornn is available, so one could certainly grab that. So as far as the first 3 picks, these are certainly high priority ones picked up by Jin Air.
I wonder if you double ban Teddy from here. Caitlyn was a big pick for him last season, could be banned. Caitlyn Sivir could be considered here. Wait and see what happens there. KSV could just take support, Braum, for example, or the Tom Kench, but you mentioned that Gnar. And if you want to go for lane pressure, you probably have to take it here now, otherwise the coverage bans will come from on, and Juve showed with that monster play with he and Ambition in the World Final that his Gnar is pretty damn good. Brought it back into the meta as well. Mid-season going for a lot of DPS Gnar, which was fun to watch.
And in Rift Rivals, of course, having some of his most incredible Gnar players, when Gnar wasn't even really in the meta when he sort of started debuting. Very impressive.
Does provide coverage for himself here. KSV, they do ban away the Camille. Always the flexibility for Wraith to take the Ornn into the support role, so just want to take away some of the worst matchups in this particular scenario. Cannon's still available, should be mentioned, but there'll be a lot of AP damage on the side of Jin Air.
Does give Teddy a lot more flexibility, so could theoretically even go back towards one of his old favorites in the Jin if he wanted to. Was certainly a pretty special Jin player, but Jin hasn't really been seen as much given the rise of all of these hyper carries. Now, what does Ruler grab? Does he grab Core JJ's pick up here because Tom Kench is still available? Zach also an option, and that's an Ambition special most certainly, but I feel like getting a support would make a bunch of sense.
It's a really confident pick also on the Zach here, and I guess you could say that CoreJJ is looking for support counterpick. A lot of times the red side meta has been last pick support counterpick to try to guarantee a 2v2 lane win. Well, hybrid carries like Vayne are a possibility. We saw Deft not be able to pick up the victory on this last time out. Doesn't have an Azir or a Malzahar to respect, and we do see the lock-in. Crowd goes wild. In solo queue, Teddy's most played by far was the Vayne. They weren't just hovering it for the hearts and minds. They're going straight for it. Will just be the Braum for support. Does cement potentially 3 winning lanes for the side of KSV, though.
It's real frightening. That's a gauntlet that's been thrown. And 3 winning lanes for KSV is exactly how they want to play League of Legends every single time. Just straight up every time. Because now you got ambition on the Zac as well. More than happy just to chill out in the jungle, then be extremely powerful later. And that's CoreJJ finishing up what is now a terrifying team fight coming out from KSV.
I mean, you could say at least both have terrifying team fight. It's just, how do they enter a 30-minute team fight at equal gold? That's kind of the thing that boggles my mind, because it's Umti on Sejuani, who can do things early, but largely does focus on level 5, level 6 especially. And KSV are going to be so happy to sit back, or I shouldn't say sit back, push forward, and then also have the Zac for counter ganks and also farming up happily. So KSV just sticking with their type. This is how they drafted against Kingzone. They don't alter anything against the Jin Air Green Wings. And if I'm Jin Air, I hope I have some really smart macro calls going. Otherwise, a KS victory kind of looks on the cards.
It does. Feels real frightening, but we've mentioned the power of Ornn looking up towards the top side, so on. If he can navigate this lane, that's going to be real hard against one of the best Nas in the world in Cuvée. Might be an opportunity. Umti's got his hands on the Sejuani for the second time that it's been available so far in the LCK, so certainly a coveted pick. Azir versus Ryze is a confusing one for me, but I definitely agree with you. I feel like Crown is going to have that one on relative lock. And we saw Deft, despite the fact that he went Inspiration Tree Vayne, still dumpster a lane.
I still need to be convinced, Atlas. I'm certainly not convinced in the draft from Jeanette, apart from the late game fantasy. Will the fantasy become reality?
Yeah, well, someone has to provide the other opinion, and I personally want to see Green Wings put up a fight. Because KSV, they just roll over everyone. It gets a little bit boring. But guys, let's do it. Let's get into game number 1.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
All right. All of the Samsung fans certainly moving over to KSV, our world champions, well represented here in the Soli Stadium. I'm not ready. I'm not ready to fully throw Jin Air's composition out the window, folks, maybe.
And the fans, I have to say, aren't ready either to fully embrace, Samsung and then KSV. Their fan base really has kind of lagged behind where you'd expect for a world champion. It kind of took Rox Tigers 2 goes around in competitive play to get going. As he goes around, just a bit of a face check here as Wraith will get out. Bit of a love tap from his former team.
Everyone just displaying the fact that they are actually there, and then bowing to one another and moving away.
Look at the match history here. Jin Air would pick up 3 games, including a 2-0 in the second round robin of Summer. That was really in their renaissance. They
looked real good.
Jin Air Summer really were a different team. It felt like Jin Air's kind of time periods were 2015, putting the 2 teams together, sister teams together, until 2017 spring, and then just 2017 summer as a new chapter, because they became a team that could play fast, that could do innovative things. Still had a couple of long game fiestas. I may or may not have said a colorful word during a 78-minute Yasuo is science moment of a Jin Air game, but largely played a lot shorter was their game time. As well, no, it's pretty good, we learned.
Yes. Yeah, Cuvée is also pretty good at it. So not doing too bad. Crown taking a fair bit of damage. We see this is a volatile matchup. Saw it yesterday, in fact. Faker there in the mid lane playing the Ryze was getting real punished in the early levels. Just the fact that it doesn't last quite long enough. Someone's going aggressive.
You know what's even more hype? There's only 3 stopwatches.
Whoa! So the final count for the first series, ladies and gentlemen, playing at home.
3 games.
3 games, 19 stopwatches. It was quite a few stopwatches.
That it was.
And we're starting off with only 3 Papa Smithy? That's not a very inspiring number. In fact, how much inspiration do we even have? We've still got a fair. That's 4 out of 5 on KSV's side. And oh, only 3.
Turret dive is on the way here by KSV, only level 2.
Okay, goes so on, gets the knock-up. Brittle's going to be there. And should be able to grab it. Permafrost was there as well. Really nice tanking the oh god.
Could die here.
Yeah, he's getting pulverized by the minions. Red buff paid dividends.
It did actually. It just about out-healed the minion damage. That was really good timing. Level 3 is when you usually take the bounce there on KSV, so very nicely done by Soan and First blood win rate of 60%. There was a lot of first bloods. In spring season also was the first blood king before he had a couple of brain explosions at the end of spring, you'll remember.
Win rate wasn't exactly high for those first bloods. As in goes Ambition, it's now his try, but doesn't get the stretch Armstrong. That feels bad.
I was going to make the obvious joke that if you watched LCK, if you're a long-time viewer, you remember that there was kind of a group think that the coolest thing in the game was Zonias on Zach for the poses he does when he Qs and when he's in the air. I mean, stopwatch is kind of the acceptable way of getting one of those Zonias, but sadly no stopwatch for Ambition in this game.
Didn't get it.
Feels bad.
I assume he's got free us boots, though, so we can feel good about it.
We'll confirm that around 8 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
More like 10. It's Ambition on Zach.
I mean, if you don't have a stopwatch and you're inspiration secondary, then you're probably going to have free us boots.
Is just power ganking on the Sejuani. He's down.
Yeah, thinking about opting out of that one as Teddy's in trouble. They're looking for the
call
stun of the call
JJ.
JJ. Yeah, will they actually find it? Slow comes in. Ruler jumps his way out, but no one going to be finding it just yet. This is good pressure coming out from and this is what we're expecting. Normally he's playing Lee Sin and doing this sort of stuff. But
it's against type a little bit because it is the Sejuani, but first purchase Cracker's Knife and Boots and focusing on the movement speed and making the ganks happen. Doesn't mean he's behind in levels by a lot. You can see Ambition already level 5, but I believe he's probably 1 camp away from 4.
Yeah.
It is fleet footwork on the Sejuani. First time we're seeing this. Last Sejuani, Wolf, was Aftershock. Fleet footwork has become more and more common just for the attack speed. You can't load your rune page with attack speed anymore, so in this way, getting the fleet footwork, you get attack speed from the precision tree, but also get the extra movement speed to proc the E yourself, Permafrost.
Well, sacrificing the resolve means that, as you saw, extraordinarily squishy here in the early stages of the game. Now with some boots instead of anything else relating to health, should be able to get himself around. Ambition pretty unhindered as far as just clearing things out in the jungle. Has himself his farmy Cinder, so he'll be farming pretty quickly.
It's basically a please no one else die, I just want to farm kind of game for Ambition. Graves and Zach are the 2 champions he's known for.
As opposed to the other games that he plays, possibly.
I've seen him gank once or twice on Jarvan.
There was that time? No, you're right. There was that time.
But there's the Graves and the Zach where he's like absolutely no ganks ever.
Alright, Wraith. Going a bit ham. As Teddy has gone back to base. BF sword by. Comes in very quickly. Looking to grab Ninja Tabi, but has himself the cloth armor to start it off.
The first goal here for KSV with 3 pushing lanes is the fact that it's the first spawn Infernal. If they can push out a lane and rotate over to the Infernal take, Zach can obviously stay healthy throughout that. That is, to me, their first goal. When you have 3 pushing lanes, you always try and think, okay, that's great, but to what end are you pushing? What are you trying to gain on the ability to have 3 strong lanes? And mid lane will take a bit longer to push. You need a couple more levels from Ryze to be able to answer Azir just pushing with the Sand Soldiers, but
yeah, I feel like we needed to caveat the whole 3 winning lanes thing, because it's not like they're winning at all stages of the game or anything like that.
They get there, especially in the mid lane, whereas bot and top are very, very comfortable. Notice it is fleet footwork on Teddy this time, not going to be going for the deft route of Kleptomancy.
Which I'm okay with. To be honest, Kleptomancy was pretty cool that Deft was able to win the lane, despite not winning the game. But still, it was a little bit worrying.
Point stands, if you're going to draft this strong early game, you need Drakes. You need something to show. If you're not going to gank, you need to be getting wins somewhere. Otherwise, the draft makes less of an impression in the early game. And Jin Air, actually, see, Umti's kind of powered himself to 6, and it's gone straight for it.
Yep, some honey fruit just to make sure that the bottom lane is at full health as well. And a bit of gatekeeping from Teddy. Starts to throw some of these silver bolts forward. And you're right, Papa. This is a pretty good start for Jin Air. We have a lot of these coveted picks like we were talking about. We're talking about the makeup of the team composition, not necessarily looking like it was going to go in Jin Air's favor. Right now, at 8 minutes in, they've managed to grab first blood, but they're only 500 gold ahead. Infernal Drake's there, and look at this steal on the blue buff as well.
So much attack.
Sejuani's crazy.
She's different. With Fleet Footwork especially, she can be played in this really aggressive manner, and it often does pay dividends. So cool to see Umti playing towards his keystone. Very, very different to the aftershock we saw from Wolf, which really doesn't help in the clear at all. Clear is going to be benefited pretty heavily by going precision Fleet Footwork.
This means that with all of this invading, Ambition's not going to have a lot of options, but now he's going to head his way forward. Soan looking for this. Will be able to get the boot back. No, doesn't quite. As the stopwatch, does he have one? Possibly, can't see it right now as he gets destroyed underneath the turret. QV tanks it up expertly, moves his way out. Grace looking to try and pick this one up. Could be a pretty ridiculous Emperor's Divide, but doesn't happen.
He left lanes. We felt pressured to make something happen, but as he walked halfway down the lane, I think we could all tell that he wasn't going to be picking up any kills on Gnar. Yeah. Once he chose the right path of going up lane, so good timing on the gank. I don't know if anything would have changed if someone was able to register on the second part of the call. The Forge God, he was trying to sidestep abilities, but I guess we'll never know on that one.
Or if he had a stopwatch as well. I mean, there's a few things. Might have potentially picked up a kill on a QV, but not entirely sure. It's pretty dead.
Another game of Ignite top lane. Unsealed Spellbook. So no one is allowed to go in for melee matchups, so no one gets to go into the Resolve tree and actually take Grasp of the Undying, which is more common in solo queue on the Ornn.
Yeah, no Garants here in the LCK.
No surprise Spellbooks either. Guardian on both the supports.
Oh yeah, true. So not going to have supports teleporting around. That's going to be less confusing. Certainly makes for some cool plays though. We did see that, especially game number 1 for Conga Monster earlier today.
So the really cool thing about bot lane, normally as I've mentioned, I have a bit of disinterest in watching the lane is the people in it. The fact that we have Wraith, who was the first to really show off with Ruler. I actually said, I was on record, I know Monte Cristo said this as well, that Ruler and Wraith were the best laning duo we had in Korea, and that was in Ruler's debut season.
Yeah,
then Paul JJ came in, he leveled up the teams, warding in particular. Laning phase wasn't quite as good, but he was still a laning god himself, and things got better and better, and Wraith never saw a look in. Teddy's a great AD carry too, so seeing him against his old squad, who he knows inside and out, is really cool to see him.
It's a bit of a kerfuffle on the top side. Ambition tanks a little bit more damage than he wanted to, but really he was just sieging down the turret, so on having to use Call of the Forge God just to try and clear out the minion wave. Thankfully, it was going to be enough to clear the rest out. So Teddy's getting taken down low. And Ruler's possibly just going to kill him. If he just rocket jumps forward, could be some opportunities here, so Teddy has to respect it.
There's a couple of autos, a charge and an ultimate. That would kill him, but backing off, offering a bit of healing. Should be okay.
But Teddy does need to be a little bit respectful. Potential damage out from this Tristana, especially with this down the lead. Free boots coming in for both of these 80 carries.
Laning advantage is starting to translate, Atlas.
Yep,
so on the top side,
to feel it.
It's in the top side. It's one more visit from Ambition away from first brick in top lane, first blood turret in bot lane. Also possible with them pushing in, and Rise now has the Abyssal Mass, so can ignore the Sand Soldiers and take good trades if he can actually register with the Rune Prison. So this is the point where I'm kind of looking to Umti, to his playmaking on the Sejuani. First Sejuani ult needs to hit big, otherwise I think they're going to be dealing with 3 turrets down very early in the game.
Well, at the moment, he's looking to steal away a red buff. What's our QV who's going to move his way over here is... Man, Umti's going fast.
He got the movement speed boost from the fleet footwork there and then used it to jump over. At the same time, they know he's top side. That's why Ambition and Crown both playing around the bot side of the map.
Merc Treads will rush really quickly as well for Umti, so Nike's very quickly purchased. You were mentioning in our last series, the Iceborne Gauntlet being the optimal choice for the Ornn on the top side, so it is going to be the option that Sohan goes for.
Yeah, before I knew that as a pickup, going for a more traditional tanky route, even to Sunfire or something like that. You have fast wave clear, but you just don't actually kill the minions. You get them really low, and then you kind of have to walk around. With the Iceborne Gauntlet, the extra AoE damage is actually very relevant in being able to push lanes fast enough to teleport, to be in the position to ultimate, and help out your bot lane, which is really what Ornn is great at. Bailing out or piling on in the bot lane with his long-range initiation, so big fan of the Iceborne Gauntlet on the Ornn.
Ambition just in the face of Umpty, stealing away this red buff.
Have to respect the ability for Crown to rotate first with his ultimate. The fact that bot lane is in a great spot as well. If you try and leave bot lane to help, your turret dies, so not a lot of options here for Jinair.
Yep. Nice transitionary play there by Umpty though, making sure that he can stay down. Ambition pretty telegraphed move to the bottom side, try for some sort of tower dive. So, no joy just yet. Okay, that's a slingshot. Actually going to commit to it, really good. But the kidnap comes down and Wraith could be in a whole lot of trouble. Stands behind his AD carry, but it's not quite enough. The Ignite's going to tick down, pick that one up. It's actually Ambition with the red buff that secures it. And this could just be first brick right here. Ruler's got enough damage with that BF sword in his back pocket. KSV, we called it out. It was going to be a rough one for Jinair with their early game prowess, or lack thereof. And it certainly has been to start this one off.
KSV send their regards to their old teammate in Raid. First recent kill in the game, not first blood, what am I saying? Turning on to the Ocean Drake as well, so piling on the misery. First brick goes down. We already know that Ornn's turret is low as well. Things start to get from bad to worse for the side of Jinair.
Yeah, and as the map gets smaller for Jinair, it only gets worse and worse as well.
Oh, look, Noah has a red buff now. That's great
Yeah.
for Ornn.
Woohoo!
It's a bad time.
Oh, dear. Well, someone is at least able to shove this wave forward. Not doing too badly as far as farm. But speaking of farm, Crown starting to creep ahead of Grace as well in the mid lane. As is Abyssal Mask, feeling like he can just hang around in that lane forever. Smack down on these creeps.
You start thinking of a future where KSV get a Baron because they're pushing in multiple lanes, and then the Azir can't wave clear and the game ends. That's kind of the future I see. Umpty wants to try and stop that future by killing QV.
Probably just looking for a counter gank more than anything else would make sense.
If QV used his leap to harass like he just did at that precise second, then maybe he would have gone in, but with leap up, he knew the chance of a successful gank was basically zero.
QV going mega now as well, so he's looking to smack down on this turret. So Sohan, no joy as far as going back to the shop is concerned. Thankfully, he's on. He doesn't have to. Stands under his turret, buys himself some more items. And he'll be okay, but this tower most likely will not.
A rotation from Ruler and Core JJ. They're actually keeping the Vayne accountable. Instead of rotating to mid lane, Azir has such good long-range wave clear that you're not even guaranteed taking a turret unless Ambition is launching himself into turret dive. And let's go for the safer option of keeping the Vayne accountable, no free minion waves for the Vayne, while Ambition takes the Rift Herald, and maybe that can do the dirty work in the mid lane.
Yeah, and you saw the fact that Crown just clears out that minion wave instantly and then can go and back Ambition up. QV had complete lane dominance, going to burn down this turret with the red buff, turn into a big old angry guy and continue putting the pressure on. So this is so free as far as the Rift Herald.
A little bit too easy, Atlas.
Yep, and it feels like a world champion taking on the 6th place team of Summer.
And, you have to say, the 6th place team didn't make it easy for themselves either with the draft. Not a bad draft when it comes to 5 champions versus 5 champions, but for the early game, certainly a very challenging draft. Not just have exactly this happen. I feel like if the teams are equal in skill, this happens 8 out of 10 times. And if the teams are unequal in skill, this happens over 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, which is possibly even 10 times out of 10. It's hard to say 100% though, isn't it? Like maybe someone's computer explodes. One of the 1,000 times. But it's going to be a real rough one.
Yeah, Grace doing his best to hold on to his turret, but you can see the Ambition. They're pushing Deep Vision on the top side. Same time, Core JJ is putting Deep Vision on the bot side. a Rift Herald comes down, and then that's probably going to be a dead mid lane turret. And that will be any hope of Baron control gone for the side of Jin Air.
The whole outer ring just completely taken away as Ambition charges up the slingshot. Probably happy that he's on a ward, to be honest. Just demanding the respect, but that minion wave is going to be crushed, and thankfully Tower lives to see another day. Herald will need to be thrown down at some point.
He's got time. We can see the timer now on the minimap. That's cool. Wasn't always there, actually, in some of the recent patches. So
yeah, that's exciting, actually. I normally get really, really nervous.
Yeah, me
just
too.
like waiting for it, but now we don't have it.
Plenty of time on the Rift Herald, around 2 minutes, I think, at this point. So fine.
QA continuing to do ridiculous things. Spectre's Cowl now built up, so most of the magic damage that Ornn's going to be doing no longer going to be a problem for QA.
Usually, Ruler and Core JJ staying in bot lane would be a mistake, in my opinion. For example, if top lane was very equal, going up there would have got the turret, but they already almost had it. Now got it solo. Going mid lane would have made a lot of sense. They're going mid lane a lot later than you would expect it. They do this to hold down the Vayne. They're going to get the mid lane turret anyway.
Yep, that's going to be taken down straight away. Cosmic Radiance comes in. That's just going to guarantee the turret. It's all KSV wanted. All too easy. Humpty does take away at least a big chip. That's him.
Now the game you can play at home is look at the mini-map, consider dividing it in a diagonal fashion, and notice how KSV for the rest of this game will create a vision line and it will just creep forward further and further, and jungle camps that you want to claim become more and more impossible. Finally the wards move far enough and you can't even get to your Raptors or your Krugs, for example. Even getting Baron vision without a blue trinket becomes impossible. That's kind of the sort of inevitability that a draft from a team that plays in that macro-focused style often manifests in. So it feels like people go back, they'll continue to purchase. Eventually we'll see multiple control wards on every member, and that'll kind of be lights out for Jin Air Green Wings.
Very literally. Suffocation style. KSV have certainly demonstrated they're absolutely fantastic at. Does make for relatively slow League of Legends. Not going to be as bloodthirsty, Papa Smithy, but it is beautiful to watch from a strategic standpoint. Just not a whole lot of options for Jin Air Green Wings. If KSV play this out, it's almost one of those guaranteed win situations.
A little wasted delay. For example, some wards are down. They have the Rift Scuttler as well, so a hope of a Baron is impossible for now from the KSV side. All the early proactivity of Umti is now impossible because they just can't get to the enemy jungle. Has to make do with getting half his jungle camps and aren't being stolen by his teammates, and then putting down vision, fortunately the role of a jungler when your team is behind in every lane.
Ambition as well. I mean, Locket's already done. Cheeky Kindle Gem hanging out there as well.
Probably going to be into a Knight's Vow, you'd imagine.
Yep. This is going to be one hella huge Zag. Who's just been unhindered, unharassed, happily farming things up.
I wonder if you get Knight's Vow healing when you're in the Bloblets form.
Well, that's a good point.
You're trying to auto-attack down a Bloblet's getting healthier. Like,
I thought the health you get back is purely based on the amount of Bloblets.
no, I mean from the Knight's Vow, because when your ally Link does damage, you get healing from that.
While he's coming back alive, though? That's what I'm thinking, is that I just think that it doesn't even calculate what his health actually is.
It possibly does.
Yeah, I don't actually know. To be honest, I didn't code League of Legends, so I guess... I know, Papa, I know. That was a lie to you. Years and years ago, I told Papa Smithy that I coded all of League of Legends.
That's why...
This is the first time I've told him that was a lie.
Look, Atlas, you need to understand the position you're in. If you haven't noticed, it's been 3 days of LCK, and I've had 3 different play-by-plays, so... This is swinging the pendulum away from you, Atlas.
I feel like honesty is the best policy, though, Papa Smithy. And
becoming the eSports Bachelor over here, and I'm looking at my different contestants every day.
When do I get to go to the room and have my interview and just talk about how, nah, but Seth said this thing and I just really hated it, or something like that?
I mean,
one of those
Kenzie, the Foremost reporter, is here. Like, you could give him an exclusive.
That's what I gotta do. I gotta tell him about that thing Brendan said to me. You gotta hear it. It was awful.
Shave it for off-air. I'm sure it's not on-air appropriate.
No, Brendan's actually very on-air appropriate almost all the time. Okay, Umpty, in a little bit of trouble. Nope. Not dazzling enough, he's Core JJ. It's the KSV attempt at the Baron.
Remember when I said about getting a whole lot of control wards and everyone? That's what's happened.
Yep. Yep, there's a reason why we were talking about, you know, the cast of Bachelor. There's not a whole lot has been happening.
Still waiting for the true diagonal line for now, at least. It's one really aggressive control ward on the enemy red buff, and then a more shallow one in the brush towards the Baron from the top side. Don't quite have the straight line, but that creeping feeling of doubt is definitely entering for the side of Jin Air as they get less and less influence over the river and even their own jungle cramps.
Yep.
I almost said jungle cramps.
Yeah, I've got jungle cramps. Well, Soan certainly has those because QV just stole all of his stuff. That's got to be a problem. But at least they've got wave clear, so they can clear things out as they're heading towards the towers.
I mean, there's silver linings.
Completely suffocated.
There's silver linings for sure. Vayne's got 2 items. You know, Vayne is 17 CS behind, which is perfectly fine for Vayne.
No one's just straight up feeding at all. Like, there's only 3 kills in this entire game. Things could definitely be worse, yeah.
The problem with the silver linings is, why are KSV opting into any of those fights where Vayne is putting out damage? How do those fights happen when they have no map control? Deft had enough of a struggle yesterday, and you could say, oh, the QSS, but he wasn't finding fights at any point of the game on his Vayne game, and they have so little control that there's really no time for Jenna to pose questions. They're just trying to answer the questions being posed by KSV.
Yeah. There's just absolutely no point as well. KSV may as well play this and then win the game, because that's ultimately the goal.
Well, Ambition jumps in. They're pretty sure there's no vision for Jin Air anywhere near the Baron, but we will be seeing another back from Tarek.
There's a cute little cheeky ward over there by Jin Air.
Double locket now complete. Tarek picked up the locket just then.
Boy, it's going to be a lot of shields.
It's basically let's all fight in the Azir Sand Soldiers and not be worried.
Yeah. There's a whole bunch of extra dudes, but it doesn't matter.
Some gold numbers. Not too many of them out of order. 1,300 gold in the top lane. The one that caught my eye. Again, the gold lead is inching forward, but not by leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
Less than 5,000 right now.
Oh, I really want Ambition and Cube to at least have one mini game of volleyball with the kidnap into Narendor wall as like the full set. Like, oh. Just give me that, KSV. That's all I want.
KSV are giving you slow, methodical League of Legends. They've done this for many seasons in a row now. Has Umti thrown out an ultimate?
Not yet.
Oh.
May not have skilled it. We don't know.
0 ults at 25 minutes. You think you just throw one in anger? I hope he doesn't. He doesn't have sorcery, so there's no worries about the ultimate hat here.
Yeah, he may as well have thrown quite a few of them at this stage. Teddy, considering a face check, would have been a real bad idea. That ward has lasted a long time, so not as stressed about this Baron being sloppy.
We start to get to that point where, you know, I mentioned it before, you do have to kind of actually make something happen when you're this far ahead. As you think about it, they've pushed multiple lanes, they haven't done anything. They haven't killed a Baron, they haven't killed a turret in a long while. Hasn't really been any free objectives for KSV to take, and while that's not crippling them, it is kind of a notable thing you have to sit back and remind yourself of, that it hasn't necessarily been completely one-way traffic for the past 5 minutes.
Can't rest on your laurels the whole time. Soan does now have his Warmogs completed. He's got a Catalyst chilling out there. That Abyssal Mask is very close to being done. Nashor's Void Staff and the Magic Penetration duo of items coming in from Grace, so it's pretty decent.
All right, go time is finally established.
And a fair bit of damage is now being done. Is now going to grab some vision. Okay, Soan wants to try and make his way in. Umti just gets Buster Shotted out of there, but Grace, great positioning on this relative flank heading into the river. That's going to mean the pull-off. No more Baron to be taken here, and Jin Air might actually be able to make a move on this outer turret in the mid lane.
Surprisingly from Soan, he actually didn't teleport there. He completed his back, even though Baron was at 3,000 health when they saw the Scrying Orb. And just, you know, took his time, wasn't going to be baited. Thought for sure that KSV wanted to turn. KSV have a lot of turn CC and also the Cosmic Radiance to kind of guarantee a turn, and holds onto his teleport. Usually a start like that, when you do see the peel-off, signifies that KSV was saying, at worst, we get the teleport and then Nara can take some structures in the bot lane. But it's kind of the best case scenario for Jin Air. Not necessarily for fans of action, it's probably going to lead to a bit more inaction. But good stuff from Jin Air, not having Soan below the TP unnecessarily.
But definitely good for fans of watching Soan just glomp around the map, because it means he walks a little bit further instead of just teleporting. For some reason, the walk animation with Warren just makes me really pleased. It's super satisfying.
You are a bit of a cat, though. The shiny things are enough to keep you super satisfied.
I'm pretty generally interested. I feel like this is perfectly. Just there's a lot of pretty stuff, and then there's some really exciting action sporadically, but you don't want to overdo it.
Well, we're definitely
we're not overdoing it.
No.
Oh,
an ultimate!
That's ridiculous. The Cosmic Radius ain't enough from Core JJ. That was one hell of a large amount of R buttons.
27 minutes of foreplay, and finally, one ultimate, one kill.
It was hella pent up at this stage. Zambition's going to jump forward. They're opting in to a bit of a 4v5. Zambition's going down extraordinarily low. He's going to be cell divided and possibly even taken down. Not possibly, almost definitely, as the teleport is going to come down. Okay.
He lives.
Lives for now. That is going to mean only 3 effectively here to defend in the mid lane. Sun turret's up, and Jin Air want to try and grab a Baron.
Most action of the entire 28 minutes, all in the blink of an eye.
Much.
Was saving his ultimate for just that moment. Let's savor the action, OGN Legion. Hopefully we'll see some more, in fact, right now.
Yep, Crown is just going to do the thing where he just leaves, though. So, unfortunately, Realm Walk is one of those abilities that denies us all of that excitement.
I wasn't ready for any more. I have to readjust myself.
It was too exciting.
It was too much excitement in one go. Back to macro League of Legends, please.
Yeah. Okay, Teddy says, I'm going to kill a red buff. That is fitting on theme. That's good. Got a fair bit of cash to go back and spend, and is really close in money to what Ruler has on offer, having picked up one of these kills. I believe it was the most recent.
See what Umti can do. High marks on his first ult. S+ ultimates only from Umti in this particular game.
For some reason, the combination of ults in that particular brush have been cool this week. I think a lot of people have done it.
You know what's not cool? KSV's 3 unanswered Drakes. We've had no one near them on that side of the map. All of them being Ocean.
Yeah, it's a really wet day for KSV Dragons. Okay, Ruler just getting love tapped by Teddy.
Teddy's starting to feel frisky, as you can tell.
Oh yeah. Well, he's a 3.5 item Vayne. This is when, in the solo queue game, he would have 28,000 kills and would have already won, you know?
Is this why I remind people that Riot target nerfed Jin Air with the new runes? They introduced Gathering Storm, which makes them very susceptible to losing their previously trademarked 60-minute games. 5 Gathering Storm against Jin Air every time. Free win.
Well, I haven't actually checked KSV's runes, but I don't think they've all opted into it.
They actually have only 2 sorceries, so only Gnar and Ryze could even itemize into Gathering Storm.
But you best believe that they did. It's Wraith, his former teammate, going to start throwing boomerangs at him, but Teddy's going to tell him to leave. And it does really feel like this game has taken a bit of a turn. Despite still being down 4,000 gold, Jin Air, they've perked back up. Looking for these fights. That whole shield was just taken out. Love how that's an exciting thing we're supposed to talk about. His ambition doesn't quite find very much as Teddy. Lots of damage with these silver bolts. Ambition's in trouble. Kidnaps himself, but he dies.
He's still going.
As Ruler's in trouble. There's the Cosmic Radiance. They're going to have to go for some sort of turn. No, they're not. They're just going to try and get out of there as Teddy wants Ruler. He wants Core JJ. He wants everything.
He's going in.
Picks up one. That's the second as Grace locks it down. The Emperor of Shurima has spoken, and now we're heading towards the Baron.
KSV played with their food for so long, but they were getting nothing out of us. Everything was perfect till 3 outer turrets were down, and then they just weren't assertive enough. You blink your eyes, and 2 ults later, it's going to be Baron to Jin Air, and the game wide open.
Yep, and everyone's got PTSD now as well, Papa Smithy, because Vayne just reached a certain point in the game and decided to kill 3 people in a row.
It's the reason why Vayne was so enticing for Teddy is there's no Malzahar. There's not actually a lot of hard CC instantly onto a Vayne. Tumble can avoid basically everything apart from the Rune Prison, so a single cleanse is enough to answer them. If the W is on cooldown, you can kind of outplay everything. So even though it led to a very poor early game comp overall, now, because they found that equivalent station that we didn't think would happen, we did not think the game would be this close in gold come 30 minutes, Vayne can outplay. Vayne can truly pop off in a game like this, and 4 items strong, Teddy's ready to go.
Now with the Overshields plus having his Bloodthirster completed, Teddy's never going to be below health at all, unless someone can stun him and kill him in a burst rotation.
And now if you're Sejuani, you're like, I need one of those I need one of those Knight's Vows, and now you just want shields, because Teddy's going to do all the work for you, and all right, has gone for our first upgrade on an Ornn item.
Yeah, he's got Locket of the ultimate Solari. I don't actually know what it's called.
Why did you
look
say
up the name of that? Because Locket of the ultimate Solari sounds really stupid. Yeah, I shouldn't have said anything, I'm sorry. Again, I mean, maybe you should just go back to Seth and Brendan.
You know, maybe I will.
Atlas going for the reverse psychology tactic. Okay, here we have a siege though. KSV trying to defend. And then with this Baron buff, certainly doing some work. Teddy, not too much trouble at all. They've spotted out Ambition. Okay, Grace actually looking for this fight against Crown. Sets up the Sun turret. Now Ambition is here. Umti turns up at the same time, and I guess he's buying time here. It's a very confusing turn of events, but it does mean that Jinair are able to grab this inner turret and more. And that's actually going to cause Crown to need to get the hell out of dodge. That was very strange.
The reverse positions there when you put an aggressive Sun turret down, like we saw from Grace. They got the turret bot side, still success, but Baron buff just over a minute, 1:15, thanks to our new spectator overlay. Means they're probably not going to crack the base with their first Baron, but just given the fact that Jinair was the one that got the first Baron, was already kind of reward enough for the Jinair faithful. In a great spot now. The game is pretty much equal. 600 gold is the difference between the two teams. The only win condition that KSV established with, what, 15 minutes of Jinair being petrified of going within 100 Teemos of anyone was an Elder Dragon that's going to be pretty damn strong. It is going to be 3 buff Elder Dragon if KSV can pick it up.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to even damage through that sort of regen. If only it was during combat. You're able to utilize it.
Hey, more buffs than the true damage is good enough.
Damn right. Also just means that you can start Baron, leave, get up to full health, that sort of thing. QSS is done now for Teddy though. Mercurial Scimitar will make it the double lifesteal build. Meaning that he'll be very difficult to lock down, given A, the active, but also the fact that if he continues auto-attacking, it's going to be hard to out-damage that sort of sustain.
So how does KSV react? Their plan, the methodical plan I was alluding to, wasn't enacted fast enough, wasn't decisive enough, and was abandoned. Now they have almost no vision. Atlas, almost no vision at all. Yeah. I mean, they don't need it right now as Jinair piling straight through mid lane, but when the transitions start happening, they really got nothing. Ambition can only jump away. No longer does he have the insurance to make aggressive plays, because they're not sure where all the members are of Jinair when they cut between lanes. And right now,
Jinair know exactly where the members of KSV are. You saw it was Crown actually standing on top of that deep ward, which is what led Jinair to know that they could just freely take that inner turret. 35 minutes into the game, it does mean that that Elder Drake has just spawned.
So look odd team fight comp from KSV, but not a terrible one from Jinair by any stretch of the imagination. Cosmic Radiance needs to be really big here for KSV.
Yeah, and they need to kill Teddy if they can.
Oh, that's going to be tricky.
Well, this is a really big problem as well because he's caught Core JJ unawares. There's Call of the Forge God. Bumps that one back there as well. Thankfully, Cosmic Radiance does go off, but they may as well just go. Teddy grabs it, just tumbles forward. Ruler could be in trouble. They're diving. This is the Vayne play we were wanting. But Buster Shot gets Teddy out of there, and he just wants more, wants to find more. And in goes Ambition. Actually going to start off this fight. QV does have the Mega Gnar available. Can gnar them all away, but this turret is just going to die. The inhibitor soon to follow, and they do not want to fight this 4v5. Jinair successfully turn around what was a really horrible mid-game, to be honest. Not by anything that they did. It was by more that they couldn't do anything, and then KSV let them in.
But the few times they could do something, Umti getting the first ult and first kill, and then the decision-making by Teddy there. Usually all in on a support like an Alistar is something you make fun of, but in this game, forcing Taric to use the Cosmic Radiance for nothing, just to stay alive, is a win already for the Vayne. And then there was more chase down, because the last thing KSV expected was a Vayne running full head of steam at their support, taking him out of the equation. They get all that they want. They get the Elder Dragon, which is more of a denial one to KSV. They get the mid lane inhibitor, and now they themselves are one fight away from actually taking game one and upsetting KSV.
Yep, we got that Molten Hourglass coming in as well. Grace has fully upgraded that one as well. So many items coming in for all of these players, actually. It's only a Rabbidan's Death Cap to be completed.
Merc Scimitar. Vayne has almost no worry. Teddy with both summoners up, a Braum and a Sejuani, even an Ornn to watch after him. And at this point, Azir should probably sit next to him and say, hey, I've got an ability to knock people away. You can Merc Scimitar, Rise's W, and you can outplay every other skill on the side of KSV. This is the absolute ultimate dream for a Vayne player. This is the sort of thing where Ghost, who's playing solo queue, locks in Vayne. He sees this enemy team and he's like, yep, it's time to go. It's time to go here for Teddy. He's going to carry them to win.
Unless he makes some horrendous mistake. But when there's Knight's Vows, when there's double Locket of the Iron Solari, one of them being the fully upgraded Molten Forge version, is it a unique passive? I remember reading something about double Lockets. If one of them's upgraded by Ornn, something weird happens.
My first belief is yes, but I haven't actually seen the interaction to know. You can use one on Azir and still feel pretty damn good, though. You got two consistent damage carries in the Azir and the Vayne.
Vision in trouble.
No one's tanky on the side of KSV, so...
And there's no plus Whisper or anything. Vayne's so silly. Silver Bolts is a busted ability. I like it.
It took a lot of losing to get to the point where Vayne was this silly, though.
Yeah, that's true. She still does lose her fair share of games as well. He's going to get jumped on. This might be KSV's opportunity. They're kidnapping the pig lady, gets jumped back in. That's going to be that. They do at least manage to get Core JJ's ult out of him, but Teddy wants to try and answer back. That does mean the jungle is dead, and Baron just spawned.
First real mistake of the game from Umti. Just being too far up. Didn't need to be there. The rest of his team had backed away, so it's not like he was looking for an ult to be followed up upon. Just kind of checking with his face and got nothing out of it, so a delay here. Will KSV feel like this is the time to roll the dice and go for Baron?
Well, if they can kill Wraith, then maybe. Stand behind me is not going to make him get enough distance as Grace tries to get them all out of there.
It's Baron time. They should start it now.
Oh! Not if Crown just dies in 3 hits. They have to be really careful from Teddy. They're not going to be able to go for a steal, but can they go for a kill every member of KSV? Not if Ambition has anything to say about it. Decent Dazzle comes down, smacks them both together.
No.
Grace going to be the first one to die as Ruler jumps forward, going for it onto Teddy. As the Realm Walk down thrown. Oh my god! He does delete Ruler, but it's not going to be enough. That's going to mean almost everyone dead on the side of Jin Air. And a double kill for Crown. They'll go back, they'll grab themselves the Baron, and you can feel the tables turning back once again.
Mistake first by Umti, and then the team just gets too aggressive. Teddy flashes in to kill the enemy AD carry. If the rest of his team, if it was a true 5v5, maybe it's worth it. In that case, it's not. KSV take the Baron and find some semblance of control in a game. Just a few minutes ago, looked lost from a KSV perspective.
Yeah, it's like, it's feeling really difficult from all angles, basically, but Ambition, you're going to play a team fight like this. Feels pretty damn good.
I mean, Cuvée also narring everyone. Teddy has to use his Mercurial Scimitar onto the Nars. A great play there from Cuvée. Flash aggressively just to kill the enemy AD carry. Not sure that's worth it from the side of Teddy. KSV stay strong, come together, get the fight they probably thought they would never get where the game stood 5 minutes ago. And now suddenly, it might be KSV 1-0. But just the manner of how the game has gone have been so different from what we've seen from KSV so far this season.
Yep. A Molten Edge. I believe it is called. After talking about not seeing very many of these items at all, ever.
It's a 7-item.
We're seeing like
7-item Vayne.
Practically, yeah.
He'd give his kingdom for a flash, though.
Have a backup, you know, give him about 4 minutes. More of that overshield, though, you can see. Cheeky auto attacks coming out from the level 18 Tristana aren't too difficult with a rapid fire cannon just hanging out.
A bit of a cheeky build here. This is Cuvé's special. Rapid fire cannon was his previous choice, but like seal items on Gnar, and has gone for the Hurricane. Just for some AoE shred, I would say.
Yeah. Get that Black Cleaver working. Make sure that Ruler's doing as much damage as possible. Set him up for that pentakill, potentially.
No Frozen Mallet to pair it with. That would make more sense from an AoE slow perspective. Against Baron buff. And there's options for Venus. Here we go.
Yep, looking for Cuvée. It's not exactly the tankiest Gnar that we've ever seen, and he is going to get knocked up and most likely destroyed. Guardian Angel is going to get procced, so he's going to take some time here, but still will not survive. So one's going to be able to grab that kill. Can KSV get more, though? This inner turret does fall down. Probably say they'd almost say that it's worth it. Probably didn't want Cube8 to fall down though. Some respite now bought.
Against Baron, Azir doesn't have instant wave clear, so can't actually hold as well without 2 true wave clearers, and that's not what Vayne provides. So this is one of the rare instances where giving up an inner turret for a kill is probably right from the side of Jin. There wasn't really another alternative. You know, the prisoner's dilemma when it comes to what was being traded and what could have been gotten. There probably wasn't a much better scenario than what they ended up with. Now Jin is saying, just hold it together and let's find a 5v5. Again, KSV never needed to get them one. The game was never supposed to get to this point with how far KSV was ahead much earlier. But the seesaw has been real. Looked like Jin was way ahead. Makes a single mistake in the game and it falls away from Jin around him. Now, the 5v5 does have the chance for both teams to outplay and get ahead. It doesn't need to be a true 5v5 at any point. Baron buff still there for about 30 seconds. What's the next decision making? What's the next breaking point going to be? Because it's not necessarily clear on the screen right now with Baron still, what, 4 minutes away?
I think it comes down to whether KSV land the Wombo on an unsuspecting Jin. And once again, they're going to have to get soul vision. And potentially, you know, Umti has to face check a brush or hang around this Baron and not fall into the wrong hands. Because I just feel like if Jin can actually orchestrate a fight for themselves and Teddy is able to free hit, KSV just die.
Certainly if you can get rid of the Cosmic Radiance and disengage then re-engage, I agree. Going to be trickier to do. We're not going to see Core JJ a bit alone on the side, kind of getting assassinated by a Vayne. 2 times in this game. Very unlikely that will happen.
Yeah.
I agree. Cosmic Radiance, the only kind of lingering doubt I have there. I still do favor KSV in the late game team fights, but you look at Teddy and you think that things could go the way of both sides. There's definitely at most a 60-40, but maybe even a 55-45 in my head to KSV. That lets you know that a lot of margin for a super play.
Yeah,
to really carry one team over in game 1 of this series.
Especially given the fact that Ambition has been team fighting so incredibly well on this JAG.
We ain't got no boots anymore. Atlas on Teddy.
He's phantomly dancing around the map now, not actually walking, obviously. He sold his free-ass boots too, so gets even more of that cash back.
I mean, he's got plenty of cash. Cash is not really something that interests him.
Yep, most in the game, if I remember correctly, last time we saw him, at least a few minutes ago.
Not many item slots left. We're going to see Orin upgrade one of his items. I know Abyssal Mask upgrades. It's possible that he goes there. A bit more magic resist against Crown will probably be a decent choice. Forget all of the upgrades. I've never upgraded anything other than Abyssal Mask and an Infinity Edge. There's support items as well. There's the
Black Cleaver also upgrades, but we don't have.
I think Sunfire Cape upgrades as well.
It does. Yep.
But no Sunfire Cape there.
I actually forgot that the Zhonya's Hourglass upgrades, so you can upgrade both the hat and your timepiece if you grace, so he's feeling really good about upgrading all of these things.
Went for the defensive choice of more armor and AP, rather than just pure AP.
I think we know who won that one. Trading of auto attacks, Ruler loses half of his health bar.
Even those Shiv crits doing huge damage.
Oh, he's like, no, I want the crit. It's Ambition, jumps forward, Teddy's
got
in
the
trouble,
kidnap on
gets
him.
kidnapped back, does use the flash, he's running so fast as there's the nut, doesn't get into the wall, but Teddy's deleted. Ruler's going to be able to pick that one up, and maybe now it's the time for the KSV team fight, but Ruler goes down solo, Grace grabs the double kill, goes golden here as well as Ambition eventually picks up the kill, but now it's a 3 versus 2. And you've got KSV actually not too worried about it. Ambition pops back up after the cell division. And Crown hunting for more. They split up, not wanting everyone to die. But all this is dangerous. Jin might lose this one right here.
Only damage dealer alive is Crown. 4 tanks and a fifth tanky DPS in the Rise. Oh, Grace tried to pull off that super play we mentioned. Teddy was killed throughout the duration of the Nara ultimate back, even though it didn't stun like you mentioned, Atlas. They're going to turn this only into an Elder Dragon, which is not a massive victory, but 47 minutes into the game. High drama here in this game 1 of the series. You feel like Jin has to actually win this game to have a chance in the best of 3. Coming back and winning 2 in a row against KSV, our world champions, is very unlikely, and it's still not impossible where the game is at that Jin does win game 1.
Yeah, And knowing how blue side is done as well, considering the fact that, you know, Jin Air have managed to get the optimal side round 1, means that also that's going to be playing on your mind as well as all these weird superstitions, even if you can't necessarily say exactly why they're winning on the blue side. Teddy, Static Shiv's starting to do some work.
Scenario where Unsealed Spellbook adds a lot to the Rise. He's the only damage dealer that has that Spellbook. That means he will have the Ghost up basically now, and KSV straight onto the Baron.
Not wasting any time, but Jin Air know exactly what's going on. Now going to scry it out. Brown setting himself up to get a bit of a catch. But you can see KSV haven't actually...
I don't think Sonya's going to be available yet for Grace either. Hasn't been that long.
Certainly hasn't. But they have made their way into the pit. KSV are going to jump out, start the fight anew. Jin Air setting themselves up nicely in formation, but it does mean that they could get kidnapped, could get narred, and this position is not great to fight in. We've seen this one before. Cube setting himself up once again. He's got the Mega Gnar available. And now, Jin Air have to wait this one out. This Baron has been angry for a very long time. And there's the call of the Forge God. Ultimate comes out from Tarek as in goes Cuvée. Will he be able to knock back enough people as the ultimate has worn off? Now Grace, great position on the outside. Lots of damage coming in as Teddy eventually taken down once again. Grace doing work, but it's a double here for Ruler. Gets the shove back, gets his way around here towards the Baron buff as well. But when he goes gold, it's not quite enough. Gets Ruler. Oh my god, he lasted for so long. But it doesn't matter, it's still going to be the ace. Cuvée just straight up wants to win the game. Teleporting to the mid lane. I don't think Ambition and God JJ really have the damage to take down So1, but he's not killing either of them either. As these fights are so quick. How is this still going? Okay, there we go. Guys, please.
So going to be the win here for KSV. The damage dealers go down, but Gnar is still alive. Just that extra tankiness on Rise and Gnar in the late game was the little bit. The fact that Teddy, despite it being a good time for Vayne, the Cosmic Radiance all the time to change targets, all the tanks, couldn't bust him. And KSV, it was a crazy game 1. 50 minutes in, they're going to take game 1.
Yep, the teamfight positioning was just too damn good from KSV. Saw Cuvée getting himself and not actually even throwing down the Gnar until he knew exactly what he was doing. Cosmic Radiance was great timing, get everyone in position to take down Teddy. Grace tried his best, but that's still going to be that. Red side victory here for KSV, game number 1, but Jin Air really did bring it to them.
There was that moment where you thought Teddy could carry this, but 2 fights out of 2, caught by Ambition, you'd have to say, was tied up in ways that this comp wasn't ideal in dealing with a Vayne in the late game, and yet after selling the boots, just didn't have the mobility, the tumbles weren't on point, he went down, and they made KSV work, but they couldn't get the victory that this series really needed for Jin Air probably to win it. It's going to be a tough order to win 2 games back-to-back. But on the red side, we do see Samsung Galaxy pick up our first red side victory of the OGN part of LCK Spring 2018 and go forth from here.
Yeah, apart from, of course, BBQ. Earlier today. But we're getting red side victories for OGN for the first time today. And after yesterday being all blue and 6 games long, it's actually pretty important stuff. But just shows KSV are a team of superstars. And we were talking up Ruler. He didn't have a great game, to be honest, this time, but it was the rest of the players. It was the level-headedness and it was ambition. Just gluing them all together. It's exactly the right character for it, and damn, did he do well.
Still a weak mid game by KSV, not winning after getting those 3 early turrets in kind of a timely fashion. They squandered a big lead, and against a better team than Jin Air, they could have just lost the game from that.
Yep, that's a very good point. Jin Air did have options around that mid game, and Humpty getting caught, you have a feeling that he must be sitting there thinking, damn, if that hadn't happened, maybe it wouldn't have been a problem. But guys, they are going to go to a short break. If Jin Air can win again on the red side, I mean, and we go to game number 3, that would be some hella hype. But it does look like KSV moving over to the blue side now, having so much control. See whether they're going to be the ones to get the Vayne after this short break.